Hi everyone, this is Mike Filsaime with my business partner, Andy Jenkins. We have a great free case study for you that you don't want to miss from Marketing Genesis, and we have a very special guest we're going to introduce you to in just a minute. So what we're going to... No, you don't like that?
No, it's awesome.
Yeah, I want to
Who's
build
that
up the
woman
intro.
sitting next to them?
I'm going to build up the intro for Laura here.
No, she should just gone, like a falcon.
Okay, so... All right,
And the cow goes moo.
As you know, guys, traffic is the most important key to any business. If you have a great offer and you have a great product, great customer service, you got everything lined up, and you can't get visitors to your webpage, you're not going to have the success that you want. Now, you can go out and get JV partners, but when you do that, you're going to get good traffic, but you're beholden to somebody else, and sometimes that traffic's only going to come for a little while. If you truly want to have the keys to the kingdom, you have to know how to get traffic, and that's why we've invested so much into learning everything there is about buying traffic. We've gotten so successful at it because of the person that's standing here, and this is Laura Betterly.
Yay! We finally gave her a name. We should give her like a lower third and everything. You know.
Laura consults for a select group of some of the top industry leaders in all different niches. We seeked her out a couple of months back. She's been driving our traffic for us. We're having incredible results. And she's going to be going over some case studies today that she's had with some of her clients, and you're going to learn a lot. So I'm going to turn it over to Andy and Laura here to start some of these case studies.
Right on.
You don't want to miss this.
So part of this was we have probably generated about 2 million views in the last 5-6 months since you and I got together, and we started to take a look at, you know, we're coming up to our quarterlies and we're paying taxes and all that other stuff, and we're looking at efficiency. And as it turns out, the most expensive traffic, right, which everybody out there hates paying a lot of money for traffic, the most expensive money for traffic is affiliate marketing traffic, right? You think it's free, but it's actually really, really expensive. Well, the cheapest traffic, cheap to the point where it's almost like a rounding error, right? It's like what we spend on lunch for the crew, you know, for the team over the course of the month is right now turning out to be social media traffic. And Laura, who is right on top of this stuff and looking at all these cutting edge things, is really, she's starting to get a bigger and bigger budget from us, which means that, you know, yes, we're always going to do the joint venture traffic because it's ROI. But at the end of the day, for us to be able to achieve our goals, which is create a company that is not reliant on anything except the marketplace, right? Create our own distribution network.
The marketplace can be gravy.
Yeah, that's right. Distribution is everything, and that means being able to go out at will and get people to show up. So Laura's got this really cool case study. It actually turns out that we know the people that executed this case study. If you can tell us who they are in the comments down there, we'll get you something really cool.
Big hugs.
Big hugs. You'll get a big hug.
From all of us.
When you see us
at
live.
the same time without clothing on. So let's begin.
I don't know if that's a bonus or not, but that's it is what it is.
Right, so look, this was a lead generation campaign, right? So a lead generation campaign, for the uninitiated, is they wanted to create relationships with people, get them onto their email list so that they could continue to market to them over and over again. And most of the time, a lead generation campaign is what you want to spend your money on traffic on. Meaning, sometimes people say, well, if I'm going to spend money on traffic, shouldn't I just send it to the sales page? And the answer 90% of the time is no.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
That's a one and done.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you get somebody on your email list, then you have the opportunity to touch them over and over again. Follow up, get them to know you, start the conversation, because I don't know about you, but I dated my husband a little bit before I married him. So it's really that conversation before they fall in love with you.
Yeah,
and if you do the job right, they'll fall in love with you.
Not many people know this, but there is a prevailing wisdom or a conventional wisdom that circulates the internet. And it actually was started by somebody sitting right here, my business partner, Mike Filsaime.
Yeah.
Years ago, Mike said that you need to plan on making $1 per month per subscriber that you have in your business. So that gets exciting really fast. When you've got 100 subscribers, you know, it's Starbucks money. But when you got 280,000 subscribers like we do,
Yeah.
well, that's a real deal.
Yeah, I mean, and I have a list of about 50,000, and I'd say depending on the month, it's worth anywhere between 50 cents and $1.50 per person.
Boom.
Yeah, and that's month in, month out. That's, you can go on vacation and send out an email and know that you have your bottom
You're
line
in the
expenses
relationship
there.
business. That's
Yep.
the thing is you may be thinking that this is about this campaign and making money with the Facebook campaign or whatever the advertising campaign is. But once you get that lead, if you're profitable, great. But after that, you're building a relationship. It's about your next product after that, an affiliate offer, giving free content. You now have an audience. So that's the key to a lead.
It's
lead
why
generation
it's
campaign.
why companies like Sony, who control the theaters, right? The last part in the chain.
Sure.
Those are the ones that are the wealthiest because they control distribution, right? It's Viacom, it's Time Warner, it's
Right.
the people that control distribution, and an email list, an email broadcast is a form of distribution.
Absolutely. And you're talking about lifetime customer value, which we don't even talk about in this particular case study. But if
Yeah,
you
this
look at
is-
that, it is definitely, the goal here is to build a massive email list, okay? And that's not 100. We're talking about, a fairly nice size email list.
So let's just say that, if we believe that each person on an email list is going to be worth $1 per month,
Right.
how much are you willing to pay for them to get them the first time? Maybe $5, and that means on month 6, they're worth money,
That's
right?
right, that's
Well, as
right.
it turns out, that's way too freaking expensive. So this campaign is actually going to show that far less.
Yeah.
And
So-
then, of course, we want to sell to the email prospects. So once we get them, and that's really the key is, the thing that you're giving away that gets them to give you their email address has to almost look as good as the product,
Oh,
as a product, right? And that's one of the things that I always said, you want to give, I called it a freemium. It's a free
Right.
premium,
Yeah.
It's
right.
not just a
Right, well,
free
you don't want to
supplement.
give them crap. That's for
Excellence in
sure.
everything.
But
That's
in-
marketing and the product.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and you really want to put your best foot forward because, it's your first date. I mean, you wouldn't go out on your first date without, taking a shower. At least I hope you wouldn't. So anyway, that would be my thought.
First impression.
Yeah.
First impressions. So here's some
So-
challenges here. And just so you guys know, this challenge, the Who to Target challenge, is probably the most important question to answer when you're doing an advertising campaign. Who you going after?
Yeah.
Mike and I just very recently had a conversation with Eben Pagan on this very same topic, which was actually alienate people that don't have any business being near your offer.
Yeah,
right?
you're not going to, if you break it down to something that's very easy to understand and you look at politics, if you're going to be targeting people that are in the middle or see what you like to remind them to go to the polls, you need to know who to target because it doesn't matter how good your message is. If you're right wing, the left wing's not going to like the message and vice versa.
It's polarizing.
So, yeah, it's polarizing, and like you just said, you have to have a strong message that these people resonate with. You don't want to be wishy-washy and in the middle, because they want to hear what they're used to hearing. They want validation.
You're going to see Laura's copy and her creative that she used. She wasn't messing around, right? And there's some stuff in here that's obvious. I can't actually wait to get to this part. In this particular ad campaign, right? I wrote that, and I'll take responsibility for writing increasing signal to noise. There's a lot of noise in this particular market. Forget about the internet marketing, and that's not what we're talking about. The market that you did this creative for is a noisy market. I mean, just, and I'm not in it, and I know how noisy it is because I'm a consumer of it.
Yeah.
So what you guys decided to do creatively, and you guys will see this, is you made sure that there was nothing wishy-washy about the ad creative. It got right to the point, and it was very clear what the user was going to do and what they were going to get, and you'll see that in a second.
Exactly. And the other thing to keep in mind here too when we're talking about targets, we did some things that were successful and some stuff that was unsuccessful, but it was very, very interesting. The better we knew who that person was, we really started to know them. What, how old were they? What did they like? All sorts of particular information about them.
And when you say what do they like, since this is social media, this is what are they liking in Facebook?
Yeah.
Not just what do they like, in an abstract way.
But you, at the end of the day, if you do this correctly, you really get an amazing picture of an individual who is your exact perfect consumer.
So I'm
And
gonna
that's
take
who
a-
you're going to be
I'm going
communicating
to take a little
to.
tip here on how you get that. You survey your customers and you get that data from your customers. So as you
Weird.
start to get customers, you send them surveys and you get data based on them, and you start to profile your customers' profiles. And as we know, there's some pretty ninja stuff going on in similar audiences.
Yeah, and then you're
that
all,
Facebook will
yeah,
do.
exactly. But you can also very easily find a competitor and be able to, there's enough competitive intelligence tools online that are free or next to free to get that information.
See, Mike
Anyway.
just rolled past something that's profound. Just now I'm going to stop. I'm like that buffer that captures things. There is a tool that Laura has been pioneering, or a strategy Laura has been pioneering in Facebook. Facebook allows you to target something called a similar audience. So let's just say that you target 1,000 people, right? 1,000, you know, from a similar interest. One of the first things that you'll discover when, not if, but when you're successful on advertising on Facebook is you're going to want bigger audiences to go after. And you're like, oh man, this audience has only got 22,000 people. I want 250,000 people.
Right.
Well, now with the advent of similar audiences, now you're going very specifically based on user behavior, not just what they say,
Oh yeah, you're talking
but
about
what
the-
they do.
Yeah, and Facebook has its filters and whatnot, but you can even take your customers, upload the customers into Facebook, and Facebook will make an audience out of that. And then you say, well, look, I've got this 60,000 people. You got more people that have similar traits, and they do their magic, and all of a sudden you've got a list of 200,000 or 2 million. Because here's the thing, this works like gangbusters, but you want to be able to not run out of people that you want to be able to hit.
Right,
That's all.
if you're spending $30 a day and making 70, you crack another code.
I
you
want to
get it-
spend
you get to
300,000
That's right.
You get to
and make
300 a
700.
day.
Yeah.
You spend 300 a day, you're making 700 a day, right? But then you max out. This allows you to start saying, hey, I'll move that
Until
metric up as-
Facebook
yeah.
runs out of people. And what do they
Exactly.
have like? They have. I think Facebook has 1/6 of the planet.
1
now.
billion people, they
Yeah.
just announced the other day, are now on Facebook.
There you go.
What is the call to action? That was the final challenge here because calls to action are the defining moment. It's the decision point. And this is really interesting how this particular call to action worked because it was something that actually Mike just taught to the company, internally to the company, and it worked for this campaign, which is this concept called a micro commitment, which we'll talk about here in a second. So let's actually get to the ad. Dun, dun, dun. Boom.
Get
This
my head out of the way.
is the ad here, ladies and gentlemen. And this was, Laura, this was a, what do
That
we call
makes
this?
me want to buy something.
It's just, it makes me want to do a lot
You
of
know,
things.
yeah, and as you'll see by the results, it made a lot of people want to do a lot of things. So there you go.
Well, that's fantastic. But this ad, when you break it down, there are some very specific things
correct.
going on.
That's
right?
exactly right.
Right? And so, Laura, we're going to walk through them together. So the first thing is, what is it? Now, and by the time you're done here, folks, viewers at home, just by following this formula that we're going to put on the screen, you're going to have yourself a really good ad writing formula, which is really, really cool. But back to this, what is it? Notice how this is a very, this product, this ad campaign is named a very specific outcome.
Right.
Firm butt formula.
The firm butt formula. We all know we can conceive and contemplate. What a firm butt.
I don't think anybody wants a jiggly butt.
Nobody wants a jiggly
Guy or
butt.
girl?
No.
Well, there were a
Well,
few.
that's the case study.
Well, we did
And
have
there
a-
was the
we-
awkward silence for this
yeah,
episode.
no, but we actually did get a couple of comments of like, no, I like my jiggly butt, which is absolutely fine. It's social
I don't
media.
think they have a mirror in their house.
No,
if that's the
no,
truth.
and they're probably
They've
not
never
married.
seen it jiggle
No,
when
and
they're
they're,
walking
and
down
they're,
the
and
street.
they're probably not married, but
Yeah,
that's
probably,
or
yeah.
have a boyfriend, but that's okay. It's okay.
So right away they understand what it is, and
Yeah.
then what it is intelligently, brilliantly, in fact, named the outcome that we believe that the marketplace wants. Right, the firm butt formula. Who is it for? It is for every woman. Now that might seem completely base and banal. You got to tell them it's for women. Look, here's the deal. The more that you alienate, if it's for women, that means it's not for men.
That's
But
right.
it means it's more for women.
right.
Now every woman is
Now,
looking
every
at it.
woman thinks this is right for me. And the
That's
more,
right.
Like you said, the more you do that, the higher
right.
the engagement's going to be.
That's right. It's squeezing of the funnel, right? Squeezing of the funnel. Now, what the next question is, what does it do?
Yeah.
It kills
kills
the
the
jiggle.
jiggle.
Want to say that again with me?
It
kills the jiggle.
That has a very, again, it's a very specific outcome
That's right.
for the person that is looking at the ad. And then finally,
It should jiggle and then go into place.
And
It
stop.
shouldn't jiggle like Jello and just keep
Right.
trying to resonate down.
and just,
That's just my opinion.
what do you get? What do I get? And there it is. I'm actually going to
Ass
back
like
that
that.
up. I'm going to go through
gonna
that
back
again.
that ass up?
I'm going to back it up. All right.
Guys,
I'm going to
we're
go through
going
that
there.
because
We're
I
gonna-
just want everybody to notice the effort that I put
Can't
into
help
the
it.
animations there.
Oh, he
and that
did
it
a
was
great
star.
job.
Ready? Here
Oh,
it
the
comes.
stars are jiggling.
Watch, watch. Boom. Wow.
Too bad we couldn't make the ad like that. That would really be
Yeah, multimedia
pretty,
ads.
Yeah,
man,
that would be
forget about
crazy.
it. Look, the fact is, this is what we hope
Mm-hmm.
that they perceive that their results will be
Right.
once they have this product. So why not show them? Everything on this page, every part of this ad, and this is a big takeaway here, folks.
Yeah.
It's about the firm butts. It's about killing the jiggle. It's for women. And
right.
there's the example in the star there.
Yep.
That's the booty that we want them to visualize.
That's
it's
right.
all ads.
And
Social ads are about outcomes.
Micro commitment from the top to the second line, to the third line, to the image, gets them to read down for what they're getting for the premium.
That's right. So
Because
now,
if you
Right.
can't get them to know that we connect with the ads and those major headlines, then
Yeah.
it doesn't matter that there's going to be a free 136.
it doesn't matter at all. This
No.
is the thing that is stopping them in their tracks, right? So now, what does a good ad campaign actually consist of? It consists of the ad and then the landing page.
That's right.
Right? So you can throw a bunch of people. Getting people to your website is not hard, nor does it have to be expensive.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple. There's not a lot to mess up once you know a formula.
Right.
What are you selling? A click.
Yes.
And now you got them
Exactly.
to the
Exactly.
website.
But this is, the next part is what separates the pros from the amateurs, right? So let's take a look here at the actual landing page that these folks end up with. All right, and again, there are certain things on this landing page that when, and again, Mike and I are very proud of Laura, so we're talking a lot about her stuff, that Laura did in order to facilitate a conversion.
So I'll pick one.
Yeah,
Might
yeah.
not be in the slide.
I
But,
hope, I bet you it is.
Yeah, well, I like the scenting of the ad, and what that means is that it's the landing page is congruent with what the ad was.
That's right.
If you
correct.
had a different,
They haven't
woman,
made a mistake if they've
different
clicked here.
image, right? It's the same branding. Everything is continuing, and that's what they expect to see subconsciously. As soon as they see something they don't expect, then they're like, wait, something's not right.
Consistency equals commitment, right? Consistency equals commitment, meaning they've come to the right place. And, I don't mean to recap what Mike is saying. I think we could have just, ended it at that. But the bottom line is now you've got kill the jiggle, right, is the first thing that they're thinking about when they come to this page. But let's just take a look at a couple of other things that happen here. The power of free, once again, has manifested itself. Nothing converts better than free.
Free is the most powerful word in marketing. Read an article by Gary Benzavenga on it. He led you up, and I was thinking it wasn't going to be free, and he said it was free, and then he gave all the reasons why. And we look into so many different things, like in the book, Predictably Irrational, what happens with free. There is no risk in free. It's all about the consumer. They cannot lose when something's free.
That's right. And so don't ever make the assumption that just because you're giving it away for free, that they know that it's free and that free is implied. This is the first thing that they read probably other than Jiggle, which is okay.
Yeah. No, and this is a great landing page. The client actually made this page and and presented this to me to work with. But this type of landing page that is not huge amount of copy, that has an image in it that is very expressive, as well as showing exactly what you're getting there with that micro commitment that we're going to show in a minute. That is converting very, very well in most markets.
In most markets. Very interesting.
I would probably, just for an idea while I'm looking here for something that could probably work even good in the test, is I would probably test putting the value of the book as well. So even though it's
A free $45 value.
Yeah, $45 or even $7 value.
Yeah.
So, something that just, whatever somebody
Whatever
says,
the value
I don't have
is.
to
Yeah,
pay for
I
that.
mean, this page came to me so perfectly after we figured out the correct market for it.
Yeah.
It just didn't matter. All I had to do was just say, how much do you want to spend, and just turn on the spigot.
I want to ask a question for the viewer here, because I'm asking my own question. The word free, Did we highlight that, or was that the way the landing
We
page
did.
was? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
we're pointing it out.
No, because I'm even wondering, like, if we didn't, if you know,
That might
that
help.
stood out. So
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I didn't know the answer. That's
Yeah,
why
yeah.
I was asking.
So another thing about advertising, particularly in the fitness or health or
Right.
weight loss market, which we'll talk about in a
Yeah,
second,
yeah, exactly.
is that it's always about whether or not they can achieve that result, right?
That's right.
Well, and Mike and I get that all the time. You're Mike Filsaime and Andy Jenkins. Of course you guys can convert at 10%. Of course you guys can,
Right.
you know, write your own copy or do those kinds of videos because you're Mike Filsaime and Andy Jenkins. Well, you know, we have to overcome that by reminding them that at one point, Mike Filsaime and Andy Jenkins were flat busted. You know, we weren't making money, we were in debt. Da, 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 da. And so this particular part of the ad is the what we sometimes call the just like me
That's
portion. And you'll see that it's underlined. The copy is international cover model. Well, that's cool. And mom,
Yep.
right?
And see, I'm a mom. I would never be an international cover model. You know, not at my age, not in my shape. But
It's authority on one end.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I definitely can identify just as a woman because you know.
Well, what it
that I
is
have a little
any
bit
mother
more
that wants
than
to
you.
kill the
Yeah.
jiggle is going to look at that and say, if she's a mom and she's got
Yeah.
that ass,
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, the truth of the matter is, and you guys don't see this because you're not girls, but us girls would look at that and say, yeah, right, you know, she never had a baby, she never this, da da da, and then you're like, oh, she had a kid. Okay, well, then maybe
I
I'm
don't know
wrong.
that we care.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
that's
no,
just-
that's true. That's true. But you know, I'm just telling you
Polite.
how we react to these things. You see, I'm trying to school you on that.
Yeah,
kind of stuff. And
it's
there you go.
a hopeless
I
lost
know.
cause. Boom.
It's all good.
All right, so then finally we'll talk about the micro commitment here. This is huge. I think this is what makes this page kick ass. But
Yeah.
a bump.
Kicks ass.
sorry.
We know from the stuff that we've learned, the stuff that we study from,
Sure.
that the absolute worst conversion killer is using a word like submit.
Oh.
Or
Yeah.
register. It's when you put a call to action actually into the call to action
Yeah.
that you get dramatic responses.
Right.
So send me the book.
Now, there's something very interesting about this, not only the micro commitment, but saying when you say send me the book, that is the individual talking to themselves to you.
Right.
Okay? As opposed to saying, you know,
You
click
go
here,
from-
click here for book.
You go
Right.
from
Right.
from third party to
Right.
first, first
Yeah,
person.
so the conversation just became mine. And that's very, very subtle how that copy is on that line,
Yes.
but it really makes a huge difference.
And what I like about this page is what are we doing? Like the ad, we're selling one thing, a micro commitment to get a click, not to fill out the
Right,
form first.
we're not selling
not
the
to send-
results or anything like
Yeah.
that. We're selling one action.
Yeah, not the email, the name, your text, your full form, all that stuff. It's these little commitments that lead to the next little commitment,
That's
to
right.
the next little commitment.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Send me the book. So what happens when they click on that? Unlike a typical opt-in form, which has got the name and email or just the email form right there, they click that. You can either go to a new page. Going to a little light box
box
pop-up is
probably
worked
Yeah.
really, really
happens
well.
Yeah.
The point is, those three things are just part of what makes that page so powerful. So let's just take us some results. Boy, just so you guys know, when Mike, Laura, and I sat down, because Laura's in town and we're working on some stuff together, we said, hey, let's just sit down for 10 minutes and tell them what we're working on. Yeah, 10 minutes. And we fade to black. Yes, we've decided that that's quite enough. So here's the results of this particular ad. First of all, it converted 30% to cold traffic.
Yeah,
Right?
that's pretty good.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So let's be very clear, and I think there's a lot of people that love when we do things like that. That means that essentially 1 out of every 3 people that click the ad ordered the book. Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's correct.
Powerful.
That's correct.
That means the whole campaign from ad to processing.
Send me the book.
For the book, which was it a download or was it a?
That's a
shipment?
download.
A download. So that's opt-in 33%. That's
Yeah,
very
that's
Yeah. Now,
30%.
yeah, 30%. So that and in certain markets it was a little bit higher, and certain was a little bit. So this is an aggregate over the whole campaign.
Which
So-
is how we should present that data,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen.
See some more data.
Yes.
Lead cost, 87 cents. So now let's just understand what a lead is.
Well, I'll help you out here. You said if you could make $1 every single month for getting an email address, So right there, it's costing you less than $1 for your first month.
For my first month. That means I'm profitable with that prospect, that person on my email list in the first month. And now I think that's the genius of Mike Filsaime, is connect the dots, right? Which is, you know, if you can make $1 per person per month and it only costs you 87 cents to get that person, then you're profitable from month to month. Mike and Laura and I, when we do advertising, we're prepared to go out as far as 90 days. Right,
Yeah.
to self-liquidate,
Right.
right? Which
Yeah, so-
means to break even, we will wait on that person for 90 days
That's right.
before we actually are expecting money to make.
So here's
to be
what
made.
might happen to somebody. They might do this ad and they'll spend $330 and make $310 and say, well, I lost $20. Where we would say, well, essentially we acquired our leads at no cost.
What do you think
now-
we've
and
made?
now
You think
every
we made
single
$1 million
month-
from our email list this year in 2014?
Oh, yes, we have. Yeah.
Yes.
No. I would say in the last since we acquired our list, since we started working together, which was October.
Easily.
Yes. Yeah.
$1 million, right? So we look at that,
Easily.
and honestly, it probably costs us that much, right? I mean, to make that list. But we'll talk about that at a later
Yeah,
date.
that's a.
So the lead cost 87 cents. Remember, we said, you know, well, what if only we could only find 100 people or a couple hundred people to do that? Well, again, stuff is changing, guys. 4,957 leads got put on a list there. So essentially, what you're saying is for about $4,600, they build a list of 5,000 people, which
Right.
will probably make $60,000 just in follow-ups and other promotions. That's not including what they made on the back-end offer, which they
Right.
got in an email follow-up
Yeah.
campaign. Pretty
Pretty
good.
good.
I don't know if you guys
Pretty good.
saw it. This ad happens to belong to our good friend, Natalia Kern.
Natalia Kern.
That's right. Who
It's
is
also having another
sadly
baby.
married to Frank Kern, which there's not a lot we can do about at this point. We tried to warn her.
Frank must use that NLP stuff on women.
He really does. He's a better women getter than he is a marketer. So aside from Frank Kern, being whatever Frank Kern happens to be at that time, the point is things are changing and it's a renaissance. It's really a renaissance in traffic, I think. I think that people are starting to come around to the idea that free traffic is worthless and it's a fallacy. And professionals, companies, the big companies, right? And maybe we're a big company, but let's just say the people that our viewers watch regularly, right? You know, the Brendan Burchards and the Eben Pagans and the Frank Kerns and, you know, those people. Guess what? They spend a lot of money on traffic because they make even more from it.
And they want to spend more and they want to crack more codes.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right. And that's what real companies do is they buy their traffic inexpensively and make a ton of money from it.
And guys, so we're looking at a campaign here that has 4,957 leads. Let's call it 5,000 leads. Now, this is a case study, but use your imagination what happens next, right? After they opt in, it can be an offer, an immediate offer, and you've got 5,000 people that you can invite to a webinar to maybe sell a product for $97. So at that point, that's where the profits start getting in as you're building your list as well.
That's it. That's it. So hey, do us a favor. If you like this,
Then like it.
then like it. If you really liked it, then share it. Thank Laura for bringing this information from us. You know, she sits in her dark little control tower with her 3 monitors tracking all of her stuff and, you know, eating her gluten-free things, and we're very
We
excited
call it the
about
secret layer.
the secret lair,
Yes.
right?
And
That's
if
where
you've
it
got
all happens.
headquarters.
If you like what you saw and you've got any questions you want to ask us, leave us some comments below, and we'll get back to you. We'll answer some of the all of the comments that you guys have if you have any questions for us.
Sometimes with snark.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And that's it.
And that's
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you very much, guys.
See you in the next video.
Hope you liked it. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Laura. Thank
You're
you,
the
Laura.
best.